Thank you, Lauren. Yeah, I mean it's a fabulous resource, and I've really watched Subject to Climate develop over the 3 or so years that they've been in existence, and it just keeps on growing and getting better. So, are there any questions for Lauren or comments if somebody's used it and wants to? Yeah, go ahead, Owen.
I guess it's totally cool for us to share these resources with the K through 12 teachers here, or like with everybody as much as possible, right? That would be the point.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, so the idea, I think, one of the things that's so cool about it is that, if you're a second grade teacher, wanting to have a unit on language or something like that, you can just go in there and click on second grade or language. And if you're a 11th grade algebra teacher, you can click on 11th grade algebra, and there's at least something there. Um, and one question I had for you, Lauren, is how do people submit if they are teaching about climate issues? How do they submit? Um, and then what is the process for reviewing once people do submit?
To submit a lesson plan.
Yeah.
So we don't normally have like people just submit the lesson plans. There's usually like we have our teacher community and then they will work with us to make their lesson plans. I can get more information about that if people are interested in submitting a lesson plan. But yeah, at the moment, there's not like a form for that.
And we have people from around the world on this. So where are you and your colleagues in as far as developing non-English content?
Oh, that's a great question. So we have, if you look, are in the any languages. As far as developing lesson plans that are in other languages, we're still pretty early on with that. We have a couple of Spanish lessons, um, but it's something that we're definitely hoping to expand on.
Okay, so pretty much all English at this point. Great.
Except for our teaching resources, then yeah.
Okay, great. Well, thanks, Lauren. And Lauren's going to be with us. So if you have other questions, you can put them in the chat, or when Gina finishes, we can go back to some general discussion. So, I'm sorry, Sushara, go ahead if another member of the Subject to Climate team.
Yeah, thanks, David. So regarding going back to the question on lesson plans. So like Lauren mentioned, we don't take requests on lesson plans, but we do, we're open to resource suggestions. So if your organization has a resource that you would like to add to the subject of climate database, there is a button on the resources database. If you go here on the top left, it's called suggest a resource, and there is a form right next to that. And if the team feels that it is a good addition to the resources database, they'll get back to you on it. So I just wanted to add that on. Yeah. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Yep. All right. So the other fabulous resource collection that I want to talk about is, or have somebody else talk about actually, but have us learn about, is the Clean Network, Climate Literacy and Energy Awareness Network resource database. And Gina Fiorelli Desranlo is going to be our presenter here. So take it away, Gina.
Thanks, David. And looks like there we go. Can you see that now?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and I'll just echo what Lauren said. It's really great to be here and to meet all of you. And I just love meeting other folks who are active in this space and committed to integrating these important resources into our educational spaces. So yeah, it's really great to meet all of you. Actually, I'm going to go back. So I am the program coordinator for CLEAN, and CLEAN is an acronym for the Climate Literacy and Energy Awareness Network. We were one of the first climate education organizations on the scene about 12 years ago now. We were created out of a need that our original board members saw for having accurate, up-to-date, accessible climate and energy resources for teachers. So we have all of these great partners that we work with, both worldwide, the worldwide teach-in for climate justice and subject to climate are included in that, as well as some of these great federal partners over here. And yeah, this is a QR code, or you can type in cleannet.org if you want to access our website at any point throughout this presentation. So I'm going to talk today about these kind of like these three pillars of our project. The first one is going to be our clean collection. And we have in our collection around 1,000 high quality peer reviewed climate and energy education resources. And then we'll move on to talking about some of the educator support and clean network aspects of our project. But I would say for clean, this is really like the hallmark of our project. When you go to our website, and either use this search bar or hit explore the collection up here, you'll be able to access these 1,000 resources that I'm talking about that are all classroom ready. And everything that we have in the collection and on our website is really based on these educational frameworks. I know probably this is more of a US based thing, but a lot of science teachers really have to base their curriculum around these next generation science standards, which are focused on science concepts and processes, and then also these really important frameworks. The climate literacy and energy literacy frameworks were developed by scientific agencies in the US as well. The energy literacy framework was developed about 10 years ago, and the climate literacy framework, very excitingly, was updated this past year and includes some more up-to-date scientific and also social science information in it, addressing the big ideas of climate science and also the big ideas of energy science. So we're really based on these three frameworks and focus on climate literacy, applying problem system thinking and interdisciplinary approaches. Our best federal partner is NOAA, again, which is a U.S. agency, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, and they're an amazing resource for teaching about climate change. This website, climate.gov, is what our website is completely, fully syndicated to, and helps us coordinate and funds a lot of this work. So the clean collection that I mentioned before is really a special thing because it is reviewed heavily by our community and has to meet very high standards to be in our collection. They're aligned with all of those frameworks that I mentioned. We have filters, and again, they are all free and easily accessible online. So, the benefits of clean. When you go to Google and you want to search something as simple as hurricane lesson plan, it's easy to be very overwhelmed by all of the results. There are thousands upon thousands of results, and it's really hard to know what of those are going to be scientifically accurate and also something that would actually be fun and interesting to teach in your classroom. However, when you search the same thing in clean, you have less matches, and there are all going to be resources that have been reviewed multiple times by both scientists and educators. And it kind of narrows it down for you and uh, what the takeaway message today is that clean is really a trustworthy source that we want teachers to be able to go to find resources. And this confusing, complicated graphic is a view of our whole review process. So once again, the takeaway is that there are multiple scientists and educators looking at each and every resource at multiple points. And we reject a lot of resources because we don't always feel that they are up to our standards. Um, and, we have kind of this triage process where we either find resources or they're submitted to us, and then they go through a education specialist, a science specialist, do your master's degree in a specific science. And if they get through all of that, then we put them on our website and kind of repeat the process again. This whole process takes about a year, so it really is an outstanding, high standard process. And then Lauren was kind of sharing their resource page, and ours looks pretty similar. And then down here, you can see all of the notes from our reviewers. So anything that you need to be aware of about the science, suggestions about how to like supplement the activity if you want, that kind of a thing. And then all of our tags, which I'll talk about next, are over here, and you can see those as well. I'm developing these tags. First to note is that we have a few different kinds of resources in our collection. We have activities, which are more of like the hands-on traditional resource that you would expect. And then we also have videos and visualizations. So something that might be a little bit easier to just plug into a lesson plan. And then for grade level, we have up to the college level and then also a general public. And then a few years ago, we did expand into the elementary classroom, which is some of the younger kids. And then our strength really is in the middle and high school grade levels. These NGSS standards, like I mentioned, are tagged in here as well. So if you're a teacher based in the US looking for NGSS standards, you can find that here. And then we've got both climate and energy topics as well. There are some additional um, results or tags, I mean, down here. You can search by regional focus. So we also have the like area of the world that you're in, you can search by down here. We have a DEI tag. So if you're looking for something that's a little bit more focused on diversity or features diverse voices, you can use that tag. And then subject as well. We have expanded into just all kinds of subjects that are not just focused on science. You can find art resources, math resources, history resources, all of that in here as well. So again, just because we have an international audience, I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but if you are teaching with the next generation science standards in mind, we have a browse by NGSS that you can use, and then also some um, three-dimensional classroom units as well. All right, and then I'm going to go into the next kind of pillar. And I'm going to move a little bit faster. So if you are on our homepage and you click on Teaching Climate and Energy or this button down here, it will bring you to our educator support. And honestly, this is my favorite part of the website. We have some really fantastic pages on our website focused on the climate and energy literacy principles, those frameworks that I was talking about. But beyond that, we have teaching tips about how to teach in an elementary classroom, how to teach if you're teaching a non-science topic. Like I mentioned, we have many resources in here now for non-science classrooms, but I think that educators still feel like if they're not teaching about science, it can be kind of hard to find the connection. And we have a lot of tips for that. If you're teaching in a history classroom or a math classroom, like this is really a great resource to find for yourself. And then we also have many others focused on managing controversy in the classroom. So if you feel like you're not going to be teaching to an audience that's going to receive this information well, we have some info about that. The newest National Climate Assessment, we have a whole guide on that. We have a guide on teaching about climate change and mental health. And then one important note is that these pages are translated into Spanish. So you can find those on this page as well. They're a little bit further down. Culturally relevant teaching resources are available, and then also that elementary teaching support in addition to so much more. So the flow that these pages takes kind of depends on what you're looking at. We have all of the climate literacy principles outlined with resources that get at each principle, and then we also have videos and quizzes based on the climate literacy principles as well. And then some of the other pages just have more of the information about the different subjects or different scenarios that you might encounter. So, other things included in this that I might not have gotten the chance to mention yet. We have a couple of newsletters that go out every month. So we have one focused on teachers, and then we have one focused on our clean network, which is what I'll mention next. But these are monthly newsletters that connect clean resources to current events. We also have a regular webinar series that is always chock full of super great information. And I'll put some links in the chat afterwards about how to sign up for these and how to find them. But I would highly recommend checking this out as we'll have some really exciting ones coming up this spring. And next, I'm going to skip this. Next, I'll talk about the Clean Network, which is kind of like in addition to teaching climate change in your classroom, this is another kind of call to action that we have. So the Clean Network is a vibrant community of practice that has about 800 members in it. We have an active email list, so we have a listserv that people can communicate on. We have Zoom calls, much like this one, on the first and third Tuesdays of every month. We have presentations, and then we'll also have informal discussions. And then we also frequently go to conferences. If you're someone who does a lot of professional development, you can often find us at different conferences, convening sessions, and that type of thing. But it really is just a great space to lean on colleagues and kind of talk about problems that might be coming up, and share resources. It's always a great place to advertise any opportunities you have. And people are just really, really supportive because this work can be difficult, and we encourage everyone to just kind of lean on each other here. So, this is my last content slide here. How to get involved with Clean. So of course, we started with the Clean collection. You can use Clean resources in your classroom. We like one of the questions mentioned, can we just share these resources freely? Yes, please share these resources with all the teachers that you know. Invite them to visit our website and explore it. You can also suggest a resource. We have on our Get Involved page, we have that button here. You can join the Clean network that I just mentioned. Once you join, you'll have immediate access to the listserv, and reminders about our bi-monthly calls. You can sign up for either our educator or our network news flash. There's a button here to attend the webinars. And then another really exciting thing that we have, I haven't mentioned yet, is we have a teacher ambassador program. So if you're someone who is a classroom teacher and wants to advocate for Clean, we have kind of a win-win scenario with this. If you join the ambassador program, we will pay you to present about Clean at a professional development workshop. So if you have some kind of continued education conference that you go to as a teacher, we'll pay for your registration, that kind of thing, and help you get there. And then just again, I'll share some information about how to get to our website, but then we're on social media as well. We're on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. These are our handles. And there's so much more, but that is really the gist of it. And you can always email us clean@colorado.edu. I'll also put my email in the chat too. But I am excited to hear about your questions. And, one thing about our website is that it can be a little bit confusing sometimes. We're actually working on redeveloping it right now so that it's a little bit more user-friendly. But it's like we just have all of these amazing resources that have been developed, and our website kind of exploded. And now we're trying to figure out about how to answer those too. But yeah, that is it.
Well, thank you, Gina. Yeah, this is it's really impressive that yeah, I started in climate change education work in 2008, 2009 when Clean got started, and we had a big NSF grant to try to do something that was a little bit more higher ed focused, and um, Clean is just really done so much better than anything we had even envisioned, and but yeah, 15 or so years ago, there was really almost none of this. So kudos to you and to Subject to Climate for both of your great resources. So go ahead, Kurt.
Yeah, thank you. Really appreciated both of these talks. And a question comes up for me that I guess is actually relevant to both Lauren and Gina, if I could ask you maybe to reflect on. So I come into this work in part from my professional role in open education for the last couple of decades, where materials are licensed explicitly, not only to be free to access, but also people are encouraged to make adaptations, make it more culturally relevant, localize it, and then especially to feed back those adaptations into the shared commons so that everyone else can be similarly inspired. And in my conversations, for instance, with community college instructors, that sort of the latter part of the equation becomes really important. And I'm curious, in the programs you're running where you've got both these resources and some investment communities of practice, what you might be seeing about the energy around localizing, making these adaptations from the source materials more culturally relevant, and possibly encouraging people to feed that stuff back in. Because I feel like that step can really accelerate sort of our progress on this.
So so I understand the question. So you're asking about how do we focus on localizing the resources?
Yeah, well, in your communities of practice, where you've got teachers who, you know, they start off, they're aware of the resources. That's great. They're able to make use of them. But, you know, I'm assuming because, like the government resources, they're public domain, people can remix them, tweak them, add extensions. And is there any energy that you're seeing about that sort of adaptation work happening and then kind of feeding that back into like, I teach in coastal Southern California and I've adapted this thing and I want to share it back sort of attached
Mm,
to the resource.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Right, because all of this work is very collaborative, and I think in this space we all want to help each other. I will say for Clean, our focus has always been having um, items in our collection that are something that you can easily plug and play into your own lesson plan. Like our videos, for example, are always less than 10 minutes. We don't accept anything that's longer than 10 minutes because we know that teachers have a lot of things that they themselves are required to teach. And we've found through the years that having something that is very easy to just like insert quickly into your lesson plan is a good strategy for making sure that this content is being included. So I mean, we are always trying to strengthen our relationships with teachers who are in the classroom so we can hear more about how these resources are actually being used. We don't have like a super formal way of hearing specifically how they are being used in lesson plans and that kind of a thing, but I will say that that is a huge focus of ours is making sure that what we have is very easy to just plug and play. Like you said, something that someone can make their own and kind of adapt into their own lesson plan.
Thanks.
I'll
Lauren,
just
do you want to respond? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to add to that. Really echoing what Gina said. A lot of our resources are meant to be, easy to fit into any lesson, curriculum, and so they're bite-sized, they're adaptable, and those teaching tips always offer suggestions for how to differentiate. Um, but one of the things that Subject to Climate does that I didn't mention in my presentation was that we have localized state hubs. We have 6 of them now. They're in New Jersey, New York, Maine, Michigan, Wisconsin, Oregon. Um, I might be missing one, but these state
6.
hubs, 6, yeah. These state hubs are exactly sort of that, like the lesson plans on there. Some of them are pulled from Subject to Climate and made to fit the local context in that state.
Yeah, I think Kurt, when we were trying to do some of this was one of our ideas was that you'd have a basic and every teacher modifies somewhat and have them feed back. And one of our biggest challenges was just that everybody is so busy to get them to actually then feed back their adaptations for people to use. It just wouldn't happen. We had to have people go out and kind of find an import rather than to have educators doing their own import.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks for putting that.
I dropped a link in the chat to a program run by the Office of Climate Education. It's a UNESCO affiliated organization working mostly in Central and South America right now. they've been doing some really cool stuff in this light over the last couple of years.
Right. Yeah, and thank you for putting these various resources into the chat. We will send a follow-up email to everybody who registered with all of the, not only with the recording, but also with um, the links and things that the people put in the chat. I'll just mention, I just put in the chat last week in our webinar on climate games in preparation for Worldwide Climate and Justice Education Games Day, April 11th, we had um, an offer from the Catan Studios that developed Settlers of Catan, and they have a game called Catan New Energies. It's based on the transition to renewable energies. And they've made a very generous offer that for the first 100 educators who pledge to register to make climate a class, to register with us, and then to use Catan New Energies, that they would provide a free copy of the game. um, Unfortunately, they can only do it with US and Canada because of their licensing agreement. There's a different distributor. It's a complicated thing. But anyway, so I put that in the chat, and I'll include that in the follow-up. So are there any other questions for Lauren or Gina? Well, I think they're both very complete sets of tools for everybody. I will just again thank you both and just mention upcoming the next week we're going to be talking about food, BYO, but the food as a way to um, engage climate action, essentially. Mike Hoffman, a emeritus professor from Cornell University, has done great things in terms of food education, not food education, but using food in climate education is going to it'll be more of a community sharing where it's getting to be a month, 2 months away, less than 2 months away from Worldwide Climate and Justice Education Week. And so we'll invite people to share their plans, ask questions, talk to others about what their needs are. So it'll be more of kind of an open dialogue. So before I conclude, Deepak, you had a question or comment?
Yes, hi. So actually two things. One is to follow up on what Kurt also mentioned about feedback. Sorry if Lauren, Gina, if you already mentioned it, but I was just curious to see how are you incorporating feedback, dynamic feedback, continuous feedback as shared by people, as shared by teachers. And the second one is with a lot of these curated materials and now AI agents coming in, do you see an interest in increased adoption of these resources by teachers, or are they finding this to be a threat?
I can answer the first part of the question first. So we actually have a form on our website where people can, I'm trying to find the link, I'll put it in the chat, but people can contact us by saying like, hey, I've used this resource, or even reporting a broken link. It's a huge task to maintain 1,000 resources, and sometimes links get broken. So we have a form on our website actually we get a lot of responses, and we get all kinds of feedback. Some of it is more practical, some of it is more just like, this is what we're doing. It's a big array. I'll I'll let Lauren speak too if she has other thoughts about that part of the question. Oh, you're muted, Lauren.
Thank you, Gina. So if you go to our homepage, there is a little blue tab on the side of the screen that says feedback. And that's where you can submit, it's not just issues with the website, but yeah, suggestions about resources, ideas you have. If you find a resource, an issue with a resource, like with the information, that's where you would let us know, and we review that constantly. I think might need you to repeat the second part of your question in this.
Deepak, do you want to repeat the second part of your question? And thanks, everybody. I know, we're at the top of the hour, so feel free to go. We'll keep the conversation going for a couple more minutes and then share the recording with everybody.
Cool. Okay. I mean, thank you for the response about the feedback, and just a quick reaction as and we could always follow up about this, but I'm also then curious about the feedback for the feedback. How do you get back to those who are submitting feedback to acknowledge, what they're sharing with you? That's going to help, further help you and further increase engagement. But you don't have to respond to that right away, But the second part of the question was about the beautiful set of resources, right? And now with an increased use of artificial intelligence to guide people on learning journeys. Keeping that in mind, I'm just curious if teachers are finding your set of resources to be of help, or are they also perceiving these resources to potentially be a threat to their own jobs?
I think that, there's a lot of pros and cons to AI, right? I think we all know that there's great things about it and some concerns about it. I haven't heard, it feels like the role of an educator is very special in that they are making personal connections with students. So I haven't heard a lot of people express that concern specifically. I mean, there is a concern from our view about people not getting accurate information. Of course, there's a lot of information online that is not accurate and it's not scientific. And there are definitely concerns that people are going to use AI to get information about climate change, and what it's pulling from the internet is not accurate. So I would say that is more of our concern. But that's why we really try to hone in on letting people know that clean resources are scientifically accurate. That's kind of our perspective and what we've seen.
Yeah, I don't think we know yet from the teachers who use our website how they feel about AI, about ChatGPT, since this is all very new still. We haven't done a lot of our own research just yet. I mean, we're still in the process of learning how this will affect us as an organization and our resources and how it's all perceived. But we really want to stay ahead of it and continue to be on top of the trends when it comes to AI and education.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for the response. And just I also come from the tech industry, and just a broad thought is might be a helpful thing to perhaps put together a working group that is going to help us figure out how teachers, educators can make the best use of all these resources. In light of the growing AI space. And an added suggestion there is the group to be diverse and not necessarily be tech representatives from from the industry, because most are now simply trying to push their own set of technologies with commercial interests. but rather to bring in a bunch of people who genuinely would want to help shape the future of education.
Yeah, I think that
That's
this is
because
it's
somewhere,
sorry. Yeah, I think I mean this is a big conversation, and we're kind of at the end of the formal time here. But Gina, maybe this is something to think about for. I know we're almost a year away from Estelle's 2026,
Yeah,
but maybe to think about that for a topic in a working group.
yeah, definitely.
So let's turn to Desiree, and I know first let me get again thank Gina and Lauren. This they're both great resources, great presentations, and we will look forward to having you join us again tonight at 8 o'clock, 8 Eastern time, U.S. And um, so if people want to join us again, we can, you can hear it more. But let's turn to Desiree, and then we'll wrap up the formal discussion.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon. Do you hear me?
Yeah, go
Yes.
ahead, Desiree.
Yes, thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you for joining us from Rwanda. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. It is me who thank you for this organization of this meeting. I am a Burundian refugee and living in Rwanda, Mama refugee camp, and I lead a group to promote environment protection. So my question is how, as we are a small team of refugees to promote environment protection, how could we collaborate with you, mainly with Gina Fioril, because I saw that through her presentation, there are many things which are interesting, which are very interesting for us.
Yeah, thanks for that question. So many ways. My first recommendation would to be to just join our network. That link that I shared to get on our listserv. One thing that comes to mind is we are always looking for presentations. So if you want to share about your work during one of our calls, like what we're doing right now, that would be really great. I think it's always good to hear all kinds of perspectives. So that would be my first recommendation, but maybe there's more beyond that we could talk about.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, Crystal, thanks for joining us. I'm not sure where in the world you are literally, but we're actually just wrapping up. But if you put your email into the chat, I'll make sure that you get the copy of the recording. And we are going to do, it is now 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern US time, and we'll be having another one in 10 hours from now, another webinar with the same presenters at um, 8 p.m. Eastern time US. So I apologize if we got the time zones confused. It's tricky. So um, I do want to honor people's times here, and I know since Gina and Lauren are doing double duty and going to have to come back um, in 10 hours with us, let thank them again, and I'll be happy to stay on and talk with people for a few minutes. And thank you all for joining us.
Thank you, everyone. So nice meeting you.
Yes, thank you. Have a good rest of your day.
David, a quick question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, how not very familiar with the resources shared today, but I really enjoyed learning about them. So I would love to, you know, pitch a bunch of
Oh, you're breaking up.
people in a couple of houses, you know.
Sorry, Deepak, I'm not hearing you. I heard you up to the point where you said you would love to, and then I didn't hear what you would love to do.
Okay, yeah, sorry. I'm on the road, so yeah. So what I was asking is, I want to nudge a bunch of people to attend the next webinar
Hmm.
in India, Nepal, and a couple of other countries. But as I get
Right.
them to do it, I just want to be specific about the value addition of these specific resources in non-US countries. So
Yeah.
based on your understanding of these, should I give a strong nudge for these people to come attend the webinar?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, some of the curricular stuff is to US, but I think in both cases that the resources and actually it's a good time to ask about people from outside of the US because we're about to transition to our Africa informal discussion. We have three of our good friends from Africa, as well as Bagshri from Japan. So maybe we'll get some feedback from them in terms of the value of the kinds of resources that are on um, the clean network and subject to climate for use elsewhere. But my sense is, and Paul and Eunice and Desiree and Bagashri, you can correct me, but my sense is that um, curricular resources are a great need in everywhere, and that having collections like this make it easier to reach teachers. But maybe one of you wants to comment on that.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, Paul.
Thank you very much, David, for giving me the floor. Hello, everyone. Very sorry to join. I've joined late. Yes, this is independent from my on the time on different from the time on my phone. So yes, because of so so sorry about it. I just want to let you know that we are working on our theme of reference. Yes, for the African Climate Justice and Education Week So I would like to say we are already in an average of 80, 85% of finalization of this term of reference. So by tomorrow evening, I will share the concept note with you. Yeah. And the particularity of this year is that, as I mentioned during the last call, we are going to have three new countries on board. Yes, three new countries on board, namely Ethiopia, Nigeria, and I think Sierra Leone. Yeah, so three countries on board. And I just wanted also to share an informal invitation to you, an invitation to our General Assembly. So we are planning to hold our General Assembly this Saturday, yeah, this Saturday. So the registration link or the connection link we will share with you by Thursday. by Thursday. Yeah, while finalizing all the report, the financial report and the narrative report, activity report also. So these are the news that I wanted to share with you, and I just wanted to share with you, and uh, and the particularity of our event this year is that we just changed the name of our regional webinar. So our regional webinar, we changed it into the African Summit on climate justice, education, and innovation. And we intend to have it in hybrid, so or in person and online as well. So these are the news that I wanted to share with you, David. And why saying that is, so feel free to comment. As I mentioned, I will share the concept note with you, the first concept note with you tomorrow. And after sharing with you, I've planned to hold a session with our focal points, yeah, to decide who among them wanted to hold the same event this year also, the same event this year. So this is what we are working actually. And don't forget about our informal invitation to our General Assembly on Saturday. On Saturday. So I will share more details with you very soon, before Thursday. Before Thursday. So thank you.
No, that sounds wonderful, and I apologize. I had to miss a little bit of what you said, but I'll listen to it on the recording. I had to bring the phone up to my wife for a medical call. Um, yeah, and I'll just point out, and I don't think you all have met yet, but Desiree and Eunice are both from refugee camps in Africa, and maybe you could all put your emails in the chat and connect with each other. And I do want to turn to Rachel because you've had your hand up for a moment here, Rachel. So go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me okay? I'm not sure how well this mic
Yes.
works.
Yep.
So I apologize for being late, but the mention of AI prompted a sort of a concern of mine that I've had. So I'm the library media specialist at Bard Baltimore, and so there's been all of this discussion on how to ethically teach AI as as a resource. And in my mind, just I mean, even if you ignore the intellectual property stuff, the environmental impact makes it very difficult for me to try to say, yes, this is a good thing. And I know I can't ignore it, but I'm wondering if maybe because the focus for this is and like I've been on all of these like webinars for AI and stuff, and they don't seem to like want to talk about it, but maybe that's something that is being discussed in climate justice communities. And if so, yeah. Any thoughts?
Um, yeah, I mean it's a big question, and maybe what we should do. We do have a couple webinar times coming up in March that we don't have scheduled yet. So I don't know, maybe um, Deepak and Rachel, and maybe there's some others that um, I certainly am not prepared or confident to lead a discussion about AI and climate change education. But if either of you would be interested in organizing something or suggesting speakers or something that, I mean, I don't know, I'm looking sort of at, my three African brothers in places where even connecting to the internet is a challenge. And, whether talking about AI and climate change education, whether that's even relevant to you. So I'm really just kind of raising the questions, I guess. But I think having that as a topic, if we had the right people to give a presentation and lead a discussion, might be of interest.
Quickly chiming in, I don't feel confident yet to be able to facilitate something like this, but I think let me look out for a bunch of resources and potential speakers. On a side note, I have been catching up and learning quite a bit around sustainable software development, green software, and things along those. And then I'm coming across a bunch of talks and people who seem to know about this quite a bit. So both from a software engineering perspective as well as multiple applications. So let us see if there's a bunch that we could potentially identify and curate this type of a session. I think it's going to be really, really helpful.
Okay, yeah, well, I'm open. And so I guess my question, Paul and Desiree and Eunice, you're each in Africa in places where, as I say, sometimes you're struggling just to connect to the internet. How is this question of AI and education, whether it's climate change or anything else, is that even a relevant conversation for you at this point?
If I can take the floor, so this question is relevant for us, but as you mentioned, we are facing a connectivity issue here in Africa. So, and by talking of connectivity issue, it's not only the access to internet, but it's also the access on to the tools that use internet. I mean, the cell phone, a good cell phone, and also a computer list. So, but this issue is very relevant. Is relevant for us, particularly because we are working with grassroots people in our countries. So AI, we are the application of AI in climate change education is very relevant for firstly for us, like as a mediator or as a bridge between the science, between the knowledge, between the technology and the grassroots people who would need assistance or assistance or more resilience for against climate change. So for us as CSOs or people on ground is very relevant for us. So it will improve our way to communicate or to spread the word on ground and to better understand also the topics, and so by better understanding it we will deliver easily and more and more complete our message to regards to on ground to the affected people. So it's very relevant. And just a bracket, in Africa Environmental Network, we are planning to see how we can develop a early warming system which will use AI. AI, yes, I can predict to forecast disaster and to forecast and to prevent loss and damage also. So we are working on it, but the issue is that we don't have yet a relevant expert on AI, but we have all the knowledge on disaster risk reduction, we have the knowledge on climate change action, we have the knowledge, but what is lacking is only the knowledge on AI, on AI. So I just spread it like that. I just spread it like that with you to showcase how this topic is relevant for us and is among our means of action for this year.
That's very helpful. Yeah. Yes. I mean, I think, it's not just you. I think, everybody is pretty much in the same boat. I mean, I heard somebody on the radio saying, yeah, that we all feel like third graders again, because there's some people are so far ahead in developing and have unleashed this technology, and the rest of us are really just trying to understand what it is and what some of the implications are. And so, all right. So I guess, Deepak, if you would be willing to take on at least trying to find some people who might be um, willing to give short presentations and um, facilitated discussion, because I think it's mostly, we're all going to have questions, and I think, Paul, to have you or one of your colleagues to speak from the perspective of an African as to what what are the questions that you all are um, asking, and what kinds of needs do you have that might make for a very interesting discussion.
Absolutely. Yeah, sure. Let me look into this.
Great. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And David, thanks again. Just kudos for this entire effort that you're pulling together. I'm so incredibly happy to be joining these sessions. And again, just I think it takes so much effort plus a vision to be able to pull these together. So again, thanks. Kudos to you.
No. Well, thank you. It's our pleasure, and it's great to, just to get people together, and especially in these times. So yeah, so do encourage people to join us tonight, or whatever part of the the time clock it is for them. Just remember that it's a different link for tonight than it was for this morning. So they'll need to register for tonight's session to get the link. So so I I do want to I'm going to actually stop the recording now. But I do want to, I don't think to that we've had a chance to really, I know Desiree and Eunice talked a little bit last week after the webinar. I don't think you've had a chance to meet Paul, who is the founder and head of the Africa Environmental Network. Um, so maybe and certainly Deepak and Rachel and Bhagashree, you're welcome to continue with us and continue with the conversation. But I think the um, you know the importance of making sure that we do engage with Africa and do support Africa is really important. And so, Paul, maybe you want to say something, just introduce Africa Environmental Network a little bit, and then Desiree and Eunice, you might be able to talk about sort of how your work might connect with that.
Okay, thank you very much, David, to give me the floor to present Africa Environmental Network. So Africa Environmental Network is an organization working to contribute to the management of environmental risks while ensuring the restoration of the environment and its preservation for a better living environment ecosystem, and also a positive improvement in the provision of ecosystem services. So the general objective of our organization is to contribute to the management of environmental risks and ensure the restoration, the preservation of the environment for a better living environment of ecosystem, and the improvement in the provision of ecosystem services. So our means of actions are training, research, awareness campaign, environmental communication, storytelling, and project development. Actually, we are present in 7 countries in Africa. 7 countries in Africa, and we received last week an application from 3 other countries in Africa. So, and we are working mainly on 5 strategic domains, which are climate change. And among climate change, we are working especially on adaptation, on mitigation, and loss and damage. We are working also on waste management. So among waste, we have plastic waste, we have chemicals, and we have also biodegradable waste management, and which include uh, what we call green entrepreneurship. Green entrepreneurship. We have also a department of biodiversity and ecosystem-based management. We have waste and pollution control. We promote also technology and environmental monitoring. And then lastly, we have disaster risk reduction. So we are working on ground with local communities, but we are also involved in international discussion. So we are we attend to UNFCCC meetings. I mean the COP on climate. We are accredited. We have an accreditation from UNFCCC, from UNCCG, from BRS, BARS, to Rotterdam and Stockholm conventions. We have an accreditation from UNEP also. So we commit very more with these UN agencies while working directly on ground. So we are taking information on ground and spread it abroad during international or the UN decision-making processes. And we are taking also the information from the UN decision-making processes and spread it at the bottom level on ground for a better administration of the policies on ground and a better organization of actions on ground. So this is globally what who we are, and we have two types of member: individuals and our CSOs also. CSOs. So if you want to work with us, feel free to join us. It will be a pleasure for us to get you involved inside African Environmental Network. So also it's a pleasure to work also with you, David, and I'm sure that we are going to achieve big things this year and also for the next year. Thank you very much.
Yeah, go ahead, Desiree. You don't have to raise your hand. I mean, there's only the group of us here, so we can just talk.
Yes, thank you again. I wanted to ask Paul if you, because I'm working in Rwanda, I want to know if you have partners who are working in Rwanda, or if you can accept to collaborate with me, because as we are a refugee-led organization, and you know, when you flee without cows, without livestock, you have to make arrangement in your life. But we always have initiative to protect our environment. So how can how can we make a network between us and you? Because I know uh, we may share some activities.
Okay, Desiree, feel free to join us. I just shared my email address and my phone contact in the chat box, so we can work together. We don't yet have any representative in Rwanda, so it will be a pleasure for us to work with you also in Rwanda. Yeah. So yeah, we are open. We are very open. Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Eunice, are you still with us? Maybe he may not be connected here, but Desiree and Eunice talked last week. Paul, had you met Eunice in one of our other meetings or by email?
No, I don't think so. I don't think. I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay. Well, Eunice is working at the Kakuma refugee camp in Kenya and did a great week last year. I think maybe what we should do is to schedule a time for, we don't need to do this as a formal webinar, but maybe a conversation with um, Paul,
Yeah.
I love this idea of an African summit, and so maybe um, we could, if you want to figure out a time that's convenient for you and others to introduce your plans and invite people to help you with it or to learn about it. I'd be happy to facilitate a Zoom call with you and our other African colleagues.
Yeah, of course. Once the concept note is completely ready, so I will let you know, and then we can organize it. Yeah.
Okay, great. And are you still participating, Paul, in the calls with the HBCU Green Fund?
Yes, 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 yes. I'm very active with them. So we have a call, I think, from 30 for 30 minutes now. Yes.
Yeah,
So I'm very active with HBUC account. Yeah.
yeah.
So
So Desiree and Eunice, if you're still there, this is another group of African NGOs and academics who are connecting by Zoom call to, and Paul, maybe you could put the link into the chat if you have it handy, um, talking about sort of African participation in the COP and using that as a way to just kind of bring together a network of Africans and people interested in Africa and climate change education. And they're actually having their weekly call is at the top of the hour. Um, so maybe what we should do is to um, adjourn this call now, and then if you have time, and I'm going to try to join in as well on that call and get connected with some other colleagues. Yeah, so 23 minutes from now. So did you get that link, Desiree?
Yeah.
yes, yes. I've just shared the link in the chat box.
Yeah. Thank you, Paul.
Welcome.
Yeah. Desiree, did you get that link? Paul put it in the chat that the US 02 web Zoom call. I know when you're on your phone, it's hard to necessarily to get everything. All right, Desiree, I sent you the link by email for this call in 20 minutes. So I think we're going to adjourn now because I do need to do a couple of things before that call in 20 minutes. But if you have a chance that you can join Paul and me and others at that call and get connected to another network of African climate and sustainability leaders.
Yes, I saw the email. I thank you. I saw the email.
Okay. Okay, great. So why don't you join us and the others on that call in 20 minutes if you're available? You muted yourself, sorry.
In 20 minutes after now.
Yeah, 20 minutes from now, yes.
Yes, I'm available.
Okay, great. Well, why don't you join us then? So I will see you all in 20 minutes.
Thank you.
Yeah. See you.
All right. Thank you all.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, David. Bye bye.
Oh, my pleasure.